Hello, welcome to the Christchurch Fox Chapel podcast. Fastest growing conservative, evangelical, charismatic
Anglican
podcast in the entire Fox Chapel area. Ben and I together in the room.
It's nice to be back with you all.
Yeah, welcome back, Ben.
Ah, welcome back, Alex. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. I've been stuck here.
In this this room?
Yeah.
The office, you mean?
Yeah, in the office.
Oh, yeah, because who did you record the podcast with last week?
Captain Colby, my nephew.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, it was great.
So good, yeah. Well, I missed you guys. I was on vacation in the Outer Banks, parenting, and...
So just working in a different place.
Yeah, it was great.
Very relaxing.
Very glad to be back.
Yeah, I know.
And now we get to study the Bible together.
So we're in Matthew 9, and this is the girl restored to life and a woman healed.
Yeah.
Lovely little parallel between two types of healing in the same passage.
Yeah, and before we read it, one thing that I think is fascinating as I was studying on this a little bit is that Matthew... so this is found in Luke's gospel as well as, and also in Mark's, where you have the girl being healed and then the woman who interrupts that healing. And that's found in all three of those, but Matthew shortens it down. It makes it's like the express version.
Now this is interesting because Mark is known for being concise.
Yeah.
Of the four gospels, Mark is known as being the sort of pithy guy that chops things out and just says the word immediately all the time. And
yeah, it moves through really fast. If you've never read Mark in a sitting, I commend it. Like just sit down and it's like really fast going.
Right. And Matthew's
20 minutes.
Matthew's a longer gospel, right?
28 chapters.
And a later gospel. I think he had Mark partly to look at. So
we don't know.
Well,
like
no, we're told, right? But yeah,
some people say, that's really.
And so, but Mark, Matthew, and Luke, known as synoptics, they kind of broadly, basically cover the same stuff in the same way. And John is weird.
They have a lot of similar material, and then John's it has a totally different perspective.
More thematic, interested in the cross and the trial and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even there, you actually do find some parallels between John and the synoptics. Sounds like a band name.
John and the Synoptics.
Yeah, John and the Synoptics. But anyways, within that, Matthew shortens this story way down, omits a bunch of details that the other gospel writers include.
Right.
Changes it kind of and I think that the reason that he does it is that maybe the other ones are really trying to draw us into an experience. Matthew's flying through and making a point. Okay. So that's just as I'm going into reading this, that's what my eyes are open for. What's the point he's trying to make?
And haven't we seen that a little bit in this series? That often the thing that you think is the point, the healing, for example, isn't really the point. We're not majoring on the healings in this series on the healings.
Isn't the Bible funny that way?
So weird. It's great, isn't it?
It always kind of catches you a little bit off guard.
Totally. I mean, last week's passage that I worked on quite hard, it ended up really being very different from what I thought it was all about.
Oh, I love that.
And maybe if you've heard some of these in your childhood in Sunday school, or you've had the adult equivalent of that in a sort of church that's lost confidence in the gospel and has just sort of told Jesus stories, then you may have a familiarity with these stories, but also quite a superficiality. One of the things I love about our children's ministry is that Josh and Tammy don't just tell basic story. They kind of really dig into stuff at a fairly mature level.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people often think that the Bible's boring because they're oh, I've heard that story before. But no, the text anticipates that you've heard that story before, and it has little tiny spins in there to kind of throw you off. And it's way more nuanced and way more complex than we ever imagine it is. When I think about the Bible in the abstract, sometimes I'll be well, it's kind of boring. There's those stories and stuff. But actually, when I get into it and I'm reading, and especially when preparing for a sermon or something like that, it just strikes me how nuanced and complex this literature is, almost as if God is a person of subtlety and thought and all that stuff.
Well, and those great stories are ones that, if you watch a great movie with your kids, there's something for the grown-ups and the kids.
Yeah.
Scripture can be like that there are these layers to
like a
it.
Pixar film or something.
Yeah, exactly. So you sort of see there are jokes in Scripture, and there are layers and nuances and cross-references, and you can read that same passage 10 times and then go through it again and then see a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
If I read it for you, you can maybe lead us a bit because it's your one this weekend.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
So Matthew 9:18. While he was saying these things to them, behold, a ruler came in and knelt before him, saying, My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live. And Jesus rose and followed him with his disciples. And behold, a woman who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, If I only touch his garment, I will be made well. Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well. And instantly the woman was made well. And when Jesus came to the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping. And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl arose. And the report of this went through all that district. This is the word of the Lord.
Oh, thanks be to God. The thing that I think really interesting is where this is positioned, first off.
Right.
So, we just said, right, you have the same stories over all three synoptic gospels. So you would think, right, that it's just like cut and paste.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I've already read that one in Luke. Not a big deal. But not so. Because we can learn a lot about what each gospel is saying by where they put these stories. So let's look at what comes right before this, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So Jesus is being asked about fasting. Basically, John the Baptist's disciples come up and they're like, hey, why don't you and your disciples fast? In other words, like go without food. And Jesus says, hey, the bridegroom, or, the groom is with them. Bridegroom is old ancient Near East for groom. And, I basically like, I'm here. So fasting is for when I'm not here, but like the real thing is here. Something new's happening. And then he says this thing about garments and wineskin. So do you mind reading verse 16 through 17?
No one puts a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch tears away from the garment, and a worse tear is made. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. If it is, the skins burst, and the wine is spilled, and the skins are destroyed. But new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved.
Great. Thanks. Okay. What's the image there?
Sort of fixing a garment like an old coat or something like that, sticking a brand new piece of cloth on the old jacket, and you put it in the wash, and then it just rips the hole up.
Oh yeah, this is so lost on us. I feel like I just buy new jeans.
Right.
Actually, can I just say, when my stuff goes, it's never the knees that go out, it's the crotch that goes out on the jeans. Hopefully you won't have to edit this out, but like, it's unfixable.
We'll fix that post-production. I mean, like, no one puts a piece. I think like no one in the right mind would do this, except for the youth of the day that seem to walk around in shredded trousers all over the place, looking like vagrants.
Yeah. Is that coming back? Like, I was a child of the late 90s, early 2000s, and like that was the thing.
I saw someone walk into Five Below the other day, and she just had a belt and then rags hanging down all around her legs.
Was she a beggar, or?
I think she was probably a middle-class child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
So no one in the right mind does this. I think would be it's not really a translation, but it's my addition, really.
Well, yeah, because if you put like a brand new cotton T-shirt in the dryer or whatever,
Shrinks.
it's just going to shrink.
Right.
And so the idea is if you stitch on this brand new piece of cotton to this old piece of cotton, then the new piece of cotton is going to shrink and it's going to mess up all the stitching you just did, and it's going to be this horrible mess. That's the first image. And
no one a patch of a rag unshrunk, I think is the Greek. A patch of a rag.
A patch of a rag unshrunk. Yeah. I like that.
And then but then it just why say it once? You could say it twice. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. If it is, the skins burst. I think the new wine gives off a little bit of gas as it's fermenting, so it will swell. And so the old wineskins, wine was carried around in kind of like bits of a skinned goat.
So it's leather.
It's dry and leathery. So it's lost some of its give and its subtlety.
So it's like stretched to its extremity, and then you have some new wine that gives off some gas.
Right.
And it's going to expand, and you need leather that will expand with that.
Yeah.
But if you put the new wine into the old wineskin, it's already stretched out. It's going to expand and go, and then all your wine's gone all everywhere.
And the skins are ruined as well.
And you have to get new pants, new trousers, because not only do you have
rags,
messed up patches on them, but now they're stained with wine, and it looks like you just peed your pants, and that's just a mess.
That's not right.
Okay, so what's the point? Like you have you need a new. If there's a new thing that is being brought in, and you need a new mentality or a new casing to enclose that thing.
Yeah.
Right. You can't put the new thing into the old thing.
So if you pour Jesus or the gospel or Christianity or the Holy Spirit, you pour a charismatic new kingdom Jesus experience into all of the conformities of Judaism. It don't work. It causes damage.
So you could say like that religious paradigm.
Add a bit of Jesus to what you've already got.
Yeah.
You're going to wreck it all.
And what they already had, I guess, is like this kind of view of meriting, this idea of those who are powerful being first and those who are the outsiders being last and outcast.
Right.
And Jesus just kind of flips that with his ministry, right?
Yeah.
And also I think there's a view of the way that you approach God.
Right.
Which, if you read Leviticus, like you got to be clean, you got to be holy and pure, you got to go through the temple, you got to offer the sacrifices. You got to get everything, all your ducks in a row before you come too near to God, because you might be just obliterated if you come in the wrong state. It's the old wineskin.
Yeah. And there's, to maybe stretch the metaphor a little bit even more, there's something fizzy about a charismatic experience of Christianity. It's something explosive about being a Christian. We grow, we expand. We give off energy, and you pour that into the straitjacket of legalism and religion, and you blow it up. I mean, now I don't. Is Jesus saying that, or that might be more of a preach than a translation? But
I love that though.
But there's something about this newness of the Messiah and the kingdom of God that is really incompatible with the old ways.
Yeah, I think we have that almost as an organization too. Like, how do you, how do we have to be able to be willing to adapt to where the Spirit is moving and not be just sort of like, well, we've always done it this way and we have to do it this way because this is the way our organization functions. And then
with complete blindness to the fact that actually shortly before you arrived in the scene, it was probably done a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But then when new wine comes in, it'll just blow that thing to smithereens, or else it'll go somewhere else.
Well, sticking a little bit of Jesus stuff into your fundamentally non-Jesus life is going to be interesting. It's going to cause something to go wrong. A patch of Christianity is not going to work.
What do you think in your experience usually happens in those cases where you see someone do that?
I mean, sadly, what you see is that the Jesus stuff just gets kind of choked out. We're in a different parable now, parable of the weeds or the sower. but you, the soils, whatever you want to say. It seems to be that the new Jesus stuff just gets choked out. I'm guessing in Jesus' image here, he's saying if you pour in a lot of Jesus, like you really go all in, and you stitch that to the old, then it blows it up. I think what I see is someone pouring a little bit of Jesus in, and
yeah, it doesn't work.
But yeah.
Well, it's funny. Like I hear people say a lot, like, "Well, I'm stretched to the limit. Like I'm just already, my life is full, and like I don't have time for cultivating the Christ life."
Right.
And I guess the point is like, yeah, that's right. Like you need an entirely new life.
Yes. You don't want a patched up jacket. Get a new jacket.
Yeah.
And you need new wineskins for the new wine.
All of your priorities need to change.
Right.
That's kind of the message. And sometimes when God comes into someone's life, you see their life just fall apart. And that's because I think in some ways because you have this new thing coming in and it just blows everything else to pieces. Because they're not.
Well, you're even just on a purely psychological basis, you're not putting the same degree of effort into maintaining your old life as you were, because it frankly been exposed as not worth as much as you thought it was.
Oh yeah, no, this is true. Okay, so I just drew this connection between my junior year and my senior year of high school. I ran cross country both years, and I did better my junior year before I accepted Christ than I did my senior year afterwards, marginally better.
This is a great illustration.
Because after, but once I in between there was this conversion and I just didn't care. I didn't care. I tried, but like, it wasn't like before. It was like my existence was riding on how well I can do in this race.
Because we all need a religion.
Yeah. But afterwards I was just like, I want to do my best. I'm out here with all these people I care about. And so I would run and I did pretty well. Like I was okay. Yeah. But I wasn't like, I didn't run quite as fast.
Well, that's really interesting. So there's a psychological element. Now, that's not the only thing going on. We also have what God might actively be doing in your life. If the old stuff was an idol, then and he loves you, he's going to trash that idol.
Yeah, that's true.
So, because out of jealousy for you and your welfare, so that could happen.
Yeah,
that's definitely going to be a feature of things.
I love that we just read the passage that I'm going to preach on, and then I was like, actually, let's talk about this other passage.
You could be a bishop. This is how they preach. Yeah. This is exactly what they do. Bishop, would you come and preach on Matthew 9? Absolutely. So, in John's Gospel, we're like, what? Come on.
What are you doing?
Yeah, you're ready.
But I want to can I tie us back in? Is that okay? Or do you have another point to make here?
You'll never make it as a bishop. Okay, then, go on.
Sorry, no, I wouldn't. Truer words were never spoken. I'll never make it as a bishop. Okay, so the point of this new wineskin stuff is that there has to be a new paradigm and a new way of approaching God, because the ministry of Jesus is something so radically different. And so what we're going to see in this passage is two people who inhabit this totally new paradigm, who approach God in Jesus in a way that is just radically inappropriate to the old Jewish religion. Like he would look at it and think, "This is how dare you?" And I think that the challenging thing, the application that I'm finding, is that oftentimes we actually inhabit the old wineskin, the old religious mentality when we approach God. Yeah. Instead of actually approaching Jesus in the way that Jesus tells us to approach him. So let's just walk through it here real quick. Right.
So while he was saying these things to them, I get it now. So while he was talking about the
wineskins, yeah.
Okay. Oh, in the middle of it. Oh, wow. Okay. So while he was saying these things to them, behold, a ruler came in and knelt before him. So
it's like, what's this about?
In the middle of his sermon.
Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, you need new wineskins. Hey, Jesus,
this thing.
My daughter's just died. My daughter's died. but
Yeah.
come. And he's not like, he doesn't say like, hey, if you can do something, or like, would you mind if you have some time later? I always hedge my emails like that. When I ask someone to do something, I'm like, hey, would you be willing to do this? But no pressure, not a big deal.
Right.
Like, I don't want him to feel like you have to do this for me. But this guy just says that. He said, but come and lay your hand on her.
Because his heart is broken and this is desperate. So
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
I mean, if my daughter was in this position, I would have no compunction about interrupting a sermon. I wouldn't be sitting there, I'll send him an email in the morning.
Yeah.
So definitely urgency.
It's urgent. And notice, ruler doesn't mean like he's not a Roman. He's a synagogue leader. It means synagogue ruler.
Right.
He's kind of the leader of the synagogue.
Yeah.
It's Jairus and the other things.
Yeah.
I forget. Was he a Roman guy who sponsored the synagogue, or was he just
I don't know
the leader in the synagogue?
I don't know.
Whoever preaches this, myself, should probably research who that is, who Jairus is.
But he is a ruler. Arche is archon. It's that same word for beginning or originator or author or whatever.
He's respected though. He's like a big deal.
Yeah, you get it in like archangel, archbishop, that kind of thing. Same word.
Archbishop, arche. Yeah, ruler bishop, ruler angel.
We don't mock archbishops. We draw the line at that.
Yeah, that's true. But his daughter's dead, and Matthew emphasizes this a lot. Like, just this is a bold ask, and so how does Jesus respond to this? Like, this is the new paradigm.
Yeah.
Verse 19: Jesus rose and followed him. The guy that's always like, "Hey, follow me." He's like, "All right, I'll follow you."
That's funny.
Yeah, in your need, with his disciples. So they all Jesus, like, this is like if some man is like, it's Sunday morning and you're preaching, and some man comes and says this, and you're like, "Oh yeah, okay, you guys, good luck. Hold down the fort here. I'm gonna go take care of this." Like, he just drops his sermon.
I'm flattered by the analogy. I don't think I'm Jesus in this story, but I get the point. He's just bailed on everybody.
He just bailed
because
on
it's
everybody.
more important.
Yeah, he just bailed on all of them, on what he was doing in order to, I never realized that before. He just bailed on this whole group, all the disciples of John. So all these religious people are asking him this like religious question, and he just bails on them because this guy whose daughter died just came up. And then as he's following the guy whose daughter died, what happens? Verse 20.
A woman comes up.
A woman comes up. This is hilarious. Who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years, came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment.
So people are getting increasingly less important. First you've got all the disciples of John. Then you've got this ruler, who's kind of a dude, but he's outnumbered. And then you've got this outcast of a woman who, by virtue of her condition of blood, isn't allowed within 10 miles of anybody.
And Jesus, every time Jesus, like, to the important person, is like, "Hey, hold on a second. I got to take care of this."
This is funny.
And she said to herself, "If only I touch his garment, I will be made well." Notice that it's the same thing. She will live. I will be made well. So it's like she's certain and she's desperate. And verse 22, what does Jesus do? He bails on the other guy. Do you want to read that?
Jesus turned brackets away from the posh bloke, close brackets, and seeing her said, "Take heart," which is, I think, what he said in my passage. Take heart.
Oh, no.
Literally cheer up, but take courage.
Yeah.
So that sense of looking right deeply into who she is and what's weighing on her. "Daughter, your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. And that's the healing. That's it. That's all you get, because it's not the point, as the saying goes.
Both times that someone boldly approaches him who has no status, descending status, he treats them with this incredible respect.
Take heart, daughter. Yeah.
Take heart, daughter. This intimacy is rewarded. And that is, I do want to say, that is the new wineskin that I think Matthew is trying to emphasize. Like the new wine, the way that you inhabit this new. Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself though. Let's finish the passage real quick.
Oh, okay. And just a little conversation about faith. Is this the time? Take heart, daughter. Your faith has made you well.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that she healed herself by just believing in it enough.
No. What is faith? Like, that's actually what I think the sermon is going to have to be about.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, but you're right on. Like, what faith is, the way it's the means of accessing Jesus, or it is the thing that makes faith. We're saved by faith.
Her trusting in his ability to save her.
Yeah.
It's not just conjuring up enough belief or strength of character to merit the saving.
Yeah. Right. It's like, is the light in here, is it powered by the power cord? Yes. This might be an imperfect metaphor, but like, yes, it is in a sense, but no, it's not. The power cord is just what connects to the wall. The only meritorious thing about the power cord is that it is plugged into the wall where there's electricity coming out
from Russia.
From Russia.
we could get off topic quick.
No.
So Jesus turns and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." Instantly, the woman was made well. Job done. That's the healing. Yep, congrats.
Not too much emphasis on it. It's on the healing itself. It's just like Jesus says.
Right. This is not like the James Bond movie where the final showdown between Bond and the baddie takes like an hour of like punching each other till one of them runs out of steam.
Oh yeah. Like
this is like, it's interesting the way in all of these miracles and healings, the description of the thing itself and the aftermath of what the healed person did is often quite limited.
Yeah.
I mean, as a proportion of the passage I'm looking at on my screen, it's one line out of 20.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then Jesus didn't totally bail on this other guy.
Yeah. Just made him wait.
Yeah. He made an urgent thing wait. I think that's interesting.
He made an urgent thing for an important person wait for a non-urgent thing for an unimportant person.
Yeah.
Because she's had this condition for 12 years.
Huh.
Whereas the dead girl's had her condition for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's so challenging to me because I'm often so uninterruptible. It's so much easier to just be like, just pretend that you never felt that touch on your garment and just keep walking. Or be like, hey man, can we deal with this daughter thing after I'm done delivering my excellent sermon to these disciples of John?
Yeah.
But he shows up at the ruler's house. This is verse 23. And there are flute players, not what you expect where someone's died, but I think they're professional
making
mourners.
A commotion. I think what you learn from this is that flutes are always connected to death, and they're a horrible noise that turn any kind of event into a commotion. So don't play the flute.
Yeah, therefore, that's the sermon application for today. Don't play the flute.
Job done.
That's what they pay you the big bucks for. So the crowd is making a commotion. This woman's just died.
Professional mourners have been brought in.
Yeah, and this was the thing, right? Because in that culture, they didn't express their emotions like grief quietly like we do in Western culture. It was like very animated.
A culture of grieving.
It's kind of hard for us to understand that, I guess.
We see it. I mean, when there's footage of something bad in a Near Eastern country today, I think you still see women screaming and clutching their head and making a noise, and those are often people who've been hired for that purpose, professional grievers.
Yeah.
To come in and help lead the grief.
I've actually heard that if in a Middle Eastern culture, I think Ken Bailey said this, that if you were accused of something and you didn't adamantly argue and get up in the person's face to defend yourself, it would be a sign that you were not that passionate about defending yourself and you probably were guilty.
Wow.
Of what they said. So it's just a much more embodied, I guess, culture than we are.
Again, sidetrack, but if there've been studies of this in law, actually in English courts about how defendants from different cultures will look guilty to a British jury because of, there are some cultures where you're taught the last thing you do is you make eye contact, you want to be humble. But that's looked at as shifty by Brits. Wouldn't even look at me. The lady doth protest too much. If you shout about it too much, it means you're hiding your guilt.
Wow.
And, so completely different culture from a Western one where kind of stoicism, eyeballing, and calm remarks indicate innocence. Yeah. This is the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just helpful for us to remember that we're entering a different culture. And
yeah.
It's not better or worse, it's just different.
But she's definitely dead because you wouldn't go to the expense and effort of getting a public funeral going.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah, and they would bury. The Jews still do this, actually. They bury the same day that the person dies.
Right.
I think. You correct me on that if I'm wrong, listeners. But Jesus walks into this and just shuts down. He kills the funeral party. He says, "Go away." This is verse 24. For the girl is not dead, but sleeping. And they laughed at him.
Because they're professionals.
Yeah, these same people who are causing a commotion don't actually care. They're like overplaying their hand. Because this next moment, they're like, really? They laugh.
Well, I mean, also, I'm guessing that they know that the claim is ridiculous because they've probably seen 1,000 dead girls in their experience of being called in every time someone dies.
Yeah. Yeah, they've never seen somebody raised from the dead.
Right.
But when the crowd had been put outside, verse 25, he went and
You've got to get rid of them.
Yeah, he puts them out.
Oh, why? Because of their lack of faith?
Maybe they're a nuisance.
Just a nuisance.
Well, isn't that the same thing?
Right. Right.
He took her by the hand, and the girl arose. And the report of this went through all that district. I think it's also notable that there's so much touch involved in this whole thing. The ruler says, "Come and lay your hand on my daughter, and she will live." It's not like the other thing where they say, like the other the centurion whose servant was healed and was sick, and he said, "Only say the word." This guy says, "Just come and touch her." And then the woman who stops Jesus says, to herself, "If only I touch his garment, I'll be made well." And then at the very end here, Jesus goes and touches the woman. So what's the commonality in both of these healings? It's intimate touch. I think
interesting.
Is very interesting.
Touching blood and touching death, two big things you don't touch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Both of things, because those would make you unclean, right?
Yeah, they would defile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's touched lepers so far. He's touched lots of blood. He's touched death. He's touched Gentiles.
Right.
He's not afraid of touch.
Fascinating. So, and a very, very brief description. Went in, took hand, girl arose.
Yeah. The focus is not on how Jesus heals.
Well, and the simplicity of it seems to be in contrast to the complexity of the wailing women and the flutes. You've got this crowd going, and then he just goes, ding, bong, done. Yeah. I mean, same with the other, with the bleeding woman. This touch of the garment.
And it's over. But there seems to be this emphasis on the intimacy between these people and Jesus, and Jesus's willingness to honor that. That's the demands that they place on him by giving intimacy, by being close and doing what they ask. Yeah, and they both just seem so like presumptuous. Like they just come in the middle of his sermon. Like I don't want to say presumptuous as if like, they don't honor.
Desperate.
Desperate. Yeah, I need a better word. Desperate is good. And
it appears presumptuous, but the motivation is desperation.
It's like if your kid, if you're like, I'm busy, and your kid Sam will come up and he'll grab onto the back of my pants sometimes and start yanking me. It drives me nuts. But like, if he really wants my attention, he really needs to wrestle. It doesn't matter if I'm doing something important. He doesn't care. He's going to grab me and start yanking with all of his might to pull me. Like that's a certain kind of trust and relationship. It's very different than if he was like, Father, I don't want to bother you, but if you have time later, could we maybe wrestle and play?
When they get older, they'll try that tactic on you. They'll try anything.
Oh, really?
But,
They'll manipulate.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
It'll come.
I look forward to that. But it's so much. That's the thing, that intimacy. And I wonder if we, in our own relationship with God, have that kind of new wineskin mentality, that new paradigm that is willing to just, reach up toward God and go for it, and just trust him to love us even though we don't deserve it. Or if we instead are trying to be like, well, my devotional life hasn't been that great lately. I better get that together. I need to run through my religious hoops before I ask too much of God. And I don't want to bother you, God, too much or anything like that. I think it's easy for me at least to fall into that paradigm so easily, of trying to hedge my bets with God.
Yeah. It's been really helpful, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the sermon, which they've already heard by the time they listen to this. What a weird world. If you'd like to be on the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. It's always great to have new people come on, and we hope that you will join us. Wherever you are, thank you for listening. This has been a podcast of Christ Church Fox Chapel. We love you, and we'll see you all very soon. God bless.